This is my weekly IG strategy power hour. This room is always Q&A style, so always feel free to raise your hands if you do indeed have questions. Now, if I don't have any hand raises, I usually give an IG Q&A strategy tip. Lasts for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then I go ahead and move on to um, the next part of my day. Now, if anybody comes in, I, of course, will answer any questions about weekly or about IG. And I'm here every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right. So last week, and you can check out the replay if you go under my profile name. Last week, I talked about the 5 pieces to a social selling strategy on Instagram. And I talked about outbound engagement, your hashtag strategy, your content posting strategy, your DM or follow up strategy, and then your lead magnet funnel strategy. And I explained how these 5 strategies work together in order to form one social selling strategy. This time, I want to talk about just one of those strategies, and that is outbound engagement. Now, outbound engagement is a really important strategy, but it's also one of our most time draining strategies. So, we have a couple of different ways that we can go about this, right? We can be intentional about it and plan for it and schedule it so that we are protecting our energy. And then we can also delegate it out. But until we delegate, but before we delegate it out, not until, but before we delegate it out, we have to take into consideration what our outbound engagement strategy is going to be. Now, I have 2 outbound engagement strategies. I use both of them at the same time. If you're just getting started with outbound engagement, I usually suggest that you pick one to start with, and then you can um, actually, I use three. There are 3 strategies that I use. And I'm going to tell you what those 3 strategies are today. Now, once you have chosen the strategy that you want to start with, it's a lot easier to delegate it once you document the way that you want it done and you write an SOP. Now, the first of these 3 strategies, I kind of call it the dream client strategy. And this is taught on a much larger scale. Now, depending on the season that your business is in, you may want to do this with more people. But if you're trying to get 2 to 3 new clients a month, what you do is you go on Instagram and you find 10 to 15 people that are in your ideal client avatar. These are people that you know that you want to work with, but they don't necessarily know who you are yet, right? You can see what they do from their profile. You see the content they post. You know that you can support them and partner with them in whichever way, depending on the season that your business is in, right? Hey, Tasha, welcome, welcome, welcome. I didn't have anybody asking any questions, so I'm talking about outbound engagement. If you have a question, just raise your hand. You're more than welcome to come to the stage and ask any questions that you have, okay? Now, depending on the season that your business is in, now I say that a lot. If that statement is unclear, this is what I mean. Sometimes you're going to be in a season of launch. Sometime you're going to be in a season of brand awareness. Sometimes you're going to be in a season of lead generation. Sometimes you're in a season of revenue growth. Depending upon what season your business is in, is going to depend on, how many people you're talking to with your outbound engagement, right? So if you're in a season of brand awareness and your focus is getting more eyes on your brand, then you want to talk to more people. But if you're in a season of lead generation, then you want to focus on qualifying leads. So you may only get two or three of the people that you're looking for. Um, so that is what I mean when I say what season your business is. So we have one of my favorite people in the club, Tasha Cooper, on the stage. I know I've been rambling for a minute, but I am going to let Tasha ask her question. So, good morning, Tasha.
Good morning and happy Tuesday. I actually had to look at my calendar this morning. I'm like, is it Wednesday already? Um, Happy Tuesday and good morning, Miss Diva. Um, so I was just I hopped in a little bit late, but I was listening when you were saying, questioning, what season we are in regard to our business. And I know that for me, we've kind of had this conversation previously, and I know for me, I'm so used to just kind of being in person with my business. And it's like, I think when you're offline, everything is just always about, really just building your brand. And so for me now, as I move intentionally online and trying to make sure that I'm not just doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff and actually creating an actual plan, and being intentional with my time, I think I'm in a season of brand awareness. Um, and you kind of tell me if you disagree, if you have suggestions about that, just because, um, I'm thinking that I need to build or I need to make people aware of my brand before I could start to collect leads. And so I think that's kind of where I am now because, I have the products and, I have ebooks and, online courses and all these things. But now it's like, okay, how do I get this information not just in front of people? Because it doesn't make sense if I get the products in front of 10,000 people and none of those people are, my ideal client. So right now, I think I'm really focused on both kind of testing out some organic brand awareness methods, but also working on kind of, working through some paid options as well for brand awareness. So
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there,
yes,
Tasha, because I know a paid ads expert who is going to tell you you're trying to do paid ads too early.
okay,
She would tell you that. I know she would tell you that because we've talked about it on the stage,
okay,
actually. So, one of the things, first of all, let me retract just a little bit. I know you came into the room late, but since no one was here, I was talking about outbound engagement. So, when
okay,
you came in, I was talking about how to conduct outbound engagement for the season that your business is in. So
okay,
that's where that came from.
okay,
Now, from what you've told me, you're definitely in a season of brand awareness. But when you're in a season of brand awareness, that does not mean that you don't sell, right? So you still have to make your business goals for yourself each month, right? Um, when you're in a season of brand awareness, those aren't revenue growth goals, right?
okay,
So, for example, if you're using Instagram for your organic marketing, then and you're in a season of brand awareness, then a goal like I'm going to reach 1,000 followers this month, that's an attainable goal. Well, I don't know how many followers you have, but um, that is an appropriate goal if you're in a season of brand awareness. Because more followers means that more people's eyes are on your content. Does that make sense?
yes,
So, um, being in a season of brand awareness doesn't mean that you don't sell. It doesn't mean that you don't sell. It means that sales is not the focus of your business right now. You have other goals. So, when you sat down and you made your goals for January, what did they look like?
To be honest, I have not created the goals yet. I've literally just gotten to the place where I'm like, um, okay, this is the way that, because you were talking about the outbound engagement. And so when you say that, are you talking about the way that I intentionally reach out and make my brand aware to people and engage with my my primary platform, I guess right now is IG, so I don't
Okay.
overwhelm myself.
Okay.
So what I have kind of seen, or I guess the plan for my engagement is, I have a list of, I've taken the time to kind of go through it and find the list of the top, like hashtags and things that people would probably be looking for,
Hmm.
in order that relate to the products and services that I provide. And so that, I think, starting with those, and I have a list of
Wait, wait,
pages as
wait,
well.
wait.
Yes.
What's your plan to do with those hashtags?
So I'm actually trying to find my notebook now, and so it's supposed to be, I call it a daily challenge only because it's not something that I'm used to doing, but finding the top post under those hashtags, on a daily basis. I think who, oh my
That's
goodness.
not, that's not, okay. So I know what you're talking about. Gary Vee um,
Yes.
has a $1.80 strategy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Understand where you're coming from. But the way that you're describing it is not the way to go about it because top posts don't typically change. Top posts may be the top post in a hashtag may be there since March 2021. You see what I'm saying?
Right. But I thought it was finding those that are, so I thought the goal was to find those that are not necessarily static, but kind of looking for those that are changing. No?
No. The dollar
Okay.
eighty strategy, the dollar eighty strategy, which is a great strategy. It's actually one of the ones that I go into when I talk about outbound engagement. So you're right on track with what I was talking about anyway. One of the strategies that people can try is called the dollar eighty strategy. The dollar eighty strategy is leaving 90 comments, leaving your 2 cents on 90 comments, right?
Mm-hmm.
First of all,
Oh, did
are
I lose
you
you?
working? No, I was trying to
Oh,
find my words. Are
okay.
you working your business full time or part time?
This part of it part time because I also run a bookkeeping firm. So that's what provides the money. But
Okay.
this,
If you're
yeah.
running your business part time, there's no way in the world you will have time to actually do the dollar 80 strategy. And I know because I've tried it on several client accounts by myself, like me myself.
Well, the
To leave 90 comments that are thoughtful and add value that would bring people back to your brand, because that's what I was doing. I was bringing people back to my brand.
mhm.
Takes about 4 hours. And I don't think anybody should spend 4 hours doing outbound engagement. That is how social media becomes a time drain. Because you're not just leaving like hearts or you're leaving meaningful comments
Right.
that are relevant to your brand. So if someone else, let's say you're in hashtag bookkeeping and somebody or not bookkeeping, what remind me what it is that you do for your business in the short version though.
So for this business, it is, financial literacy, digital products.
Okay, financial literacy and digital products. Okay. So if you're in hashtag course creator and someone is talking about their new course, right? And what you do is when you say digital products, you mean you help people sell them or you help them create them?
Um, a little, my products are in the form of digital products. So I have online courses and I have ebooks that I have personally created. But then on the business side, I work with people starting from, okay, let's figure out where you stand financially. So if you have a goal to start XYZ business, then okay, great. We're going to make sure that you have a solid financial foundation first so that you can
Okay,
ultimately build up to that business.
gotcha, gotcha. So if you're in hashtag course creator and someone is talking about their course, they're talking about how, they had a hard time organizing the information and then they figured it out, right?
Hmm.
Then the meaningful comment you're going to leave is like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you figured it out. When I was creating my financial literacy course, blah, 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 blah.
Right,
That's a meaningful comment. And that makes other people look at your content and says, ooh, she has a financial literacy course. Let me go look at her page, right? So you're not
right,
just leaving you're actually leaving value adds. And that takes time because you have to figure out how to not overshadow the person, but to leave your comment
right,
and to leave a comment that will make people come and look at your content. Also, you have to be careful with which hashtags you're engaging in, right? So you can engage in the top hashtags. There's no problem with that, as long as your target audience is hanging out there. If hashtag course creator is one of the top hashtags, but the only people hanging out there are, not in your target audience. And I think
right.
I don't know your target audience exactly, but I'm sure that you already know that it's important that you niche down. You can't help everybody. You work with
Right.
coaches, consultants, service-based business owners, you work with nonprofits, whatever it is, you have to have your ideal audience. That doesn't mean you don't help people outside of your audience or that you can't help people outside of your audience. I'll give you a perfect example. I work with coaches and consultants. Coaches and consultants, service based business owners, those are my bread and butter, right? But my hashtag strategy is easy to implement and will also work for product based businesses, right? It is part of my digital goods that they could buy and it would still work for them. It would still have a transformation for them. When I do my brain mapping sessions, I will do brain mapping sessions and content curation for e-commerce brands because they found my content, they thought it was useful, they reached out to me, they were like, hey, can you help me with this, right? I help people outside of my target audience, but my messaging is for my target audience. I bring up specific situations that happen to coaches and consultants because that's who I work with. Does that make sense?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So you have to niche down your content. So if you're focusing on financial literacy for single women or single parents or single women of
Single
color who are
mom.
single parents, yes, women of I couldn't come up with the word. 7 a.m. is a hard one for me. Um, if you're working with women of color
Okay.
who are single moms, then your messaging has to be for women of color who are single moms
Right.
all the time when you're focusing on engaging in outbound engagement. It has to be to your target audience all the time. So if you haven't really honed in, I don't know that you have or haven't. I'm not saying you haven't. I'm saying if you haven't, you really want to hone in because if not, your messaging is going to suffer and it's going to cause issues with your organic growth during a season of brand awareness. It's really important that your message is getting out there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. Um, So, as described to Tasha, one of the strategies that you can use for your outbound engagement is the $1.80 strategy. By the way, I in no way don't love this strategy. I adore the $1.80 strategy. I actually even have a code to Gary Vee's software $1.80 so that people can sign up for it. I highly recommend it. But I also like to set realistic expectations. Engaging on 90 comments takes, when me and my VA do it together, 45 comments each, it takes us both 2 to 3 hours. It is a very, and that's when we just do 45 each. I've
Okay.
sat and done 90 comments before. It took me about 5 hours to actually leave meaningful. Now, the results of it were amazing. I got like 20 new followers on my Instagram that day. And I had a ton of people commenting back, and I was starting these conversations, and we were talking back and forth, and it was amazing. It was great. It works. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying it is a major time drain. So maybe what you want to do, and this is what I tell my clients, because I was explaining the 3 strategies that I teach my clients. One of them is the $1.80 strategy. I
Okay.
typically suggest that my clients do this once a week. And if they don't have the time to sit down for 3 hours, and I usually tell them to focus on a time limit. So focus on doing it once a week for, and that this specifically in the hashtags, engaging with the content, the $1.80 strategy. I tell them to do it once a week, and I tell them to do it for an hour to an hour and a half. So that's one of the strategies that I teach my clients. You will
Okay.
still see an amazing amount of growth with an hour to an hour and a half. The second strategy that I teach my clients is the ideal client strategy, or that's what I call it. I call it the dream client list, is actually what I call it. But apparently, I'm not the only one out here teaching people to do this. And some people will tell you to do it on a bigger scale. Some people will tell you to find 50 people. I know my clients, I know their time, and I know their bandwidth, right? So I tell them you find 10 to 15 people on Instagram and you focus on that are in your ideal client that you want to work with. You've looked over their content, you know that you could help them. They've mentioned some things that might let you know that your services could help them solve a problem that they have, right? Um, you find these 10 to 15 people, and all you do is write down that list, and every single day, you just go check and see if they've posted any new content, and you engage on their new content. Like it, comment on it. If it's, find some way to comment on it. Always find some way to comment on it. If it
Okay.
was really valuable to you, save that piece of content. So go back to later. Um, Instagram considers engagement likes, comments, follows, and shares and saves. So if, let's say, one of the people posts something that's directly related to your brand, or if that's really good information that you think everybody should know, share that to your stories. If it's really good information for you to know that you know you'd like to reference again later, save that. All of that counts as engagement. And they can see all of it except for the saves. They can't see that you've saved it, but they can see that people have saved their content, and it boosts them in the algorithm. So when you share them, when you comment on them, they comment back to you. You start staying top of mind to them. Every time I post, the Detail Diva is supporting my post, right? And then when you send them a DM message down the line, they're more likely to answer and be open to it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I teach my clients to do the dream client strategy, especially if you're starting out with outbound engagement and you're introverted, then be intentional about your outbound engagement and focus on the dream client strategy. You can also use the $1.80 strategy, which is the one that Gary Vee teaches that we went over. And then the third strategy I teach my clients is the real strategy. And outbound engagement on Reels is really simple. You just go to Reels, right? And you watch the reel. Make sure you watch the reel all the way through because Instagram counts that. Are people watching your content all the way through? Watch the reel all the way through, read the copy, and leave a meaningful comment. And you just keep doing that. The whole purpose of reels is to get your content in front of new eyes, right? So if you're seeing someone's reel, it's probably someone, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, you're seeing people who you don't already follow and are new eyes to you. Well, if they're new eyes to you, you're new eyes to them. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so, and it's the biggest pushed out thing is Reels. It's the most pushed out thing that Instagram is doing right now. So by engaging on people's Reels, it's also very beneficial. Now, I'm not saying to go like everything you see. I actually dislike when people do that, and I don't suggest it. Do not like everything you see. What you see in your news feed is based off what you interact with, what you like, share, comment, and say. So if it's not something that you like, don't like it. Don't comment on it. Don't interact with it. Scroll past it. Um, Now, usually with the real strategy, I suggest people do this for 30 to 45 minutes, 3 times a week, right? Now, you can use a combination of all three strategies, or you can pick one and start with one. But the important thing is having the strategy for your outbound engagement and really being intentional about it, getting it documented so that when you're ready to scale your business, you can hand someone documentation that says, this is what I need you to do, and this is how I need you to do it. And I always tell people, if you're not ready to scale your business and you know you're not ready to scale your business, then you're in the perfect place to start documenting your strategies. Find the strategies that work best for you because you get to try them all out right now. Find the strategies that work best for you. Make sure that you document them. And when you're documenting them, pay attention to the comments that you're leaving. Sometimes we find ourselves leaving the same comment on several posts, and it's applicable, right? So make sure that when you're documenting for your future team, they have that to reference. Put those templates there. Commonly used responses. If these work, use them because these are in your words. You don't want people outbound engaging as themselves. They're outbound engaging as you. They're representing
Right.
you. When you outsource that, they'll be signed in under your profile and it'll look like Tasha Cooper responded. So the more of your words you can give them, the easier it will be for them to enact your strategy seamlessly. Does that make sense?
Yep.
That was a lot on outbound engagement.
Listen here, ma'am, and I have written all of them down. Because I will say this. Even though I have this bookkeeping firm, thankfully I've been blessed for that business to build, but it's not a business that I have to be in every single day. Some of my clients I serve on a monthly basis, some I serve on a quarterly basis. But having that running and already in place, it means that I can say, you know what, for, the rest of December and for, the first, my goal is through January, at a minimum, is to be more intentional with building this particular business. And so that's why I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, what are the options? But my goal was to be intentional on Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday, specifically with the engagement. Just like I said, I have the other business, but my time is completely mine. And this is a month where I typically take off. So as of this week, I actually won't be servicing any bookkeeping clients throughout the rest of the year. And will start back up a little bit in January, but again, it won't be taking up a ton of my time. So this right now is a season for me to really not just learn, but for me to start actually applying these things. So I think it would actually be feasible for me just listening to what you said before. Like even with your $1.80 strategy, you suggested maybe 1 to 2, 1 to 2 times a week, and even with your real strategy about 3 days a week. So I would actually like to start implementing each one of these three to kind of see which ones work best for me, and doing that specifically on Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday. And just kind of tracking and seeing and making sure I'm documenting everything along.
I guess it would help if I unmuted my mic while I was talking. That would probably
Well,
be
listen, I didn't
beneficial.
tell you that I was done finished. This is Tasha. I yield the mic.
My suggestion to you, if you're going to try out all three of them, which there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a very smart way to do it. My is to be very very consistent. So, and the way that I say when I say that, what I mean is like on Mondays you're doing the dream client list. On Wednesdays you're doing out the $1.80 strategy, and on Fridays you're doing the real strategy. Like I would be very 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 consistent with that. It's much easier to track the progress that way because you can go back and you can look at your analytics and you can say, how did my growth change on the Tuesdays? And you can look at each of the Tuesdays and then each of the Thursdays and then each of the Saturdays. And you can look and see, literally, you can look and see which of the strategies is giving you the results that you want. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
So that way you're being intentional about it, but you're also making it easier for you to measure the goal. And if you're in a season of brand awareness, the goal is increased content interaction and increase in followers. You want more people engaging with your content and more people following you. People say that followers are vanity metrics, and the honest to God truth is they're not always. When you're in a season of brand awareness, new followers means new people looking at your content, more people interested in what you have to say. And that's the goal. The goal is to bring in the people who are interested in what you have to say. Because if they're interested in what you want to have to say, you can start a conversion with them, you can start a conversation with them. And once you start the conversation, you can qualify them and you can close deals utilizing your Instagram as a lead magnet if they fit into your ideal client avatar. It's easy, sort of. It's just time draining.
Well, awesome. Well, I'm definitely because I'm definitely, it's just natural for me anyway to write things down and be able to kind of go back and compare. So I'll start with some tracking and just kind of see, obviously, starting with the numbers that I have now, taking a look at what my analytics have looked like before, so that I can ultimately really see. Now, is there a time frame that you would suggest? Like, if I'm going to use, like, would you say that it would be best to use all three strategies forever? Or would you say it's best to use all three strategies for the first 30 to 60 or the first 90 days, and then maybe take your top two strategies or your top one strategy and really focus on that?
Because of the way that you're doing this, I say try all three for 90, right? Um, because of what you're doing, because you're specifically trying out a new strategy for your business. And the reason I say 90 days is because it takes 3 months to see any real change or growth, and it takes over 30 days to form a habit. So you also have to get into the habit of it because when you start it, you're gonna have days you don't want to do it. You're gonna have days when you're like, I could be spending my time doing something else. You know what I'm saying? And that's not really ideal. I also would advise you to be intentional about the time frame. Now, with the dream client strategy, there isn't a time frame for that, right? You have your 10 to 15 clients. You engage with all of their new content. Um, when you first do it, it'll take you a little more time because you're going to engage with their first three pieces of content. And you want to make sure it's their three pieces of most recent content, because if I remember correctly, if you can pin content. No, you can't pin content on Instagram. My apologies. So you're fine. It's on TikTok that you can pin up to 3 TikToks. So I got a little confused. Uh, Instagram, the first time you do it, you're going to engage with their last 3 posts. And then every week after that, actually, you're doing it weekly. So you would engage with the last 3 posts every week. Because
Got it.
most people are going to be posting more than once a week. So if you only engage with their most recent post, uh, you're only seeing one piece of their content every 7 days. At least if you see 3, you're seeing closer to half their content, or possibly all of the content, depending on how many times a week they post. Does that make sense?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So for your dream client strategy, you're going to 10 to 15 people, which is 30 to 45 posts. That's 30 to 45 comments. That'll take you about an hour to an hour and a half. Same thing with, so however long that one takes you, an hour to an hour and a half, round it up. So if it takes you 47 minutes, round it up to an hour, right?
Okay.
And then also put an hour into your outbound engagement, put an hour, I mean, into your $1.80 strategy, and an hour into your um,
The real strategy.
real strategy. Right.
Okay.
Again, 7 a.m. is not my friend. I literally planned this room just for you. Like, I decided to do this room weekly because you had questions on Instagram, you're in my club. And that's how seriously I take my club members. Like, if you say you want something, I'm going to give it to you. So I purposely started doing this room. But the 7 a.m. time frame is because right now on Clubhouse, the hottest times to do rooms are 7 a.m. my time, 7 a.m. my time, and 5 p.m. 4 p.m. my time are the hottest times to do rooms right now. So I'm up and at it.
Well, listen,
Oh, and
this
I
is
see
my
Nicole
prime
popped
time.
into the. I love it. And it's a lot of people's prime time. So that's why I did it this time of the day. And I see Nicole is down in the audience. Nicole, girl, I always love seeing you. Hello, hello, hello. Nicole is a brand and graphic designer. Hey, we are honing in on our IG strategies. And I've been talking about outbound engagement for the last 41 minutes. I'll be up here for another 19. But this is a question and answer style room. So, Nicole, if you have questions, please feel free to raise your hand, come up, ask your IG strategy questions. Um, and they can be about outbound engagement or not. It's just a question and answer style room. So any questions that you have, feel free to raise your hand. Come on up. I love answering them. Um, yeah, there we go. So Tasha, did I kind of answer your question there?
Yes, ma'am. Listen, you answered my question and probably answered questions that I didn't even know that I had. So,
Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. Hey, listen, I am more than welcome to answer any questions and bring people to the stage. But since we are talking about IG, I need to see an Instagram connected, and I need you to have content in your bio so that I know what you do. Um, with that being said, Nicole's on stage. What's going on, Nicole?
Hello, hello. I'm driving, so y'all may hear some white noise in the background. Good morning. I'm a little bit congested, too.
No worries, Nicole. What question can I answer for you today about your IG strategy? Because it's about to be 2022.
I know, and clearly video is in. I'm getting a red bar. Let me know if you can still hear me.
Yep, I can hear you. Go for it. Video's definitely in.
Okay, I'm going to hurry up and ask my question before I lose the signal because I'm in the sticks of Louisiana. But my question is, what are your tips for like video strategy going into 2022? Because I know I want to get into video, and I've been hesitant to do video, but clearly, as we see, Instagram feed has shifted a lot, and video content is obviously being favored. What are some tips for like an Instagram strategy as far as incorporating video?
I love it. I love it. Now you know already what tip number one is, I'm sure. Do reels. Tip number one is do reels. But there's a strategy to reels, y'all. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't want to do reels the way that people are doing them, so I'm going to do my own thing. That's fine. You're welcome to do that. You really, really are. But here's the thing. The reason that so many people are doing reels a certain way is because it works. The voiceovers, the pointing videos, delivering valuable content, it works. It really does. I tell my clients, look at reels like, think about this, McDonald's. When you see a McDonald's commercial, it always has enticing information in an entertaining fashion. That's what reels are. And if you ever have some time, go check out my reels. I have so much fun recording my reels. I batch record my reels twice a week, so that I always have 10 to 15 reels in my drafts. Um, but using the trending sounds, if you're going through reels and you're hearing sounds a lot, that is probably a trending sound. Also, if you click on the sound in the bottom right hand corner and you see a diagonal arrow pointing up in the right to the right direction, that it means that that sound is on the rise. It is a trending sound. Utilizing trending sounds for voiceovers, for the pointing videos, all that stuff, utilizing those helps push your content out more because it's a trending sound. And then when people engage with it, they see that more people see it. And I've done it both ways, y'all. I've tried not using trending sounds. I've tried using my own sounds, and I have tried using trending sounds. You get a much better reach when you use a trending sound and when you do the reel with these methods that are already working. I'm not one of those gurus telling you you have to do this to make money. I'm not saying you can't be successful if you use your own voice on reels. I'm saying Instagram has proven it's not pushing that content out as much as it's pushing out these trending sounds. Okay? Period. So the first thing is do reels. The second thing is up your story game, right? Your story when you go to McDonald's, it's like the menu board. It's the 360-degree view of you, who you are, and what you do. Up your story game. Now, yes, only the people seeing. Oh, people have to be intentional about seeing your stories, right? But people sometimes look at stories just because they're bored. Hook those people in to watching your stories all the time by putting interesting content in your stories. Utilize the poll feature, utilize the captions feature, and utilize that link feature because we can now put links in our stories. Make it easy for people to click on whatever it is that you want to sell, whatever it is you want them to go look at, whatever story you just read, like really let them into your world. Like I said, this is your menu board. This is your 360-degree view, right? The third tip for video is live is better than IGTV, but you do need both, right? So when you go live, there's a little button that says save this video to IGTV. And then you also have another little slider that says post a preview to the feed. You want to do all three, but the majority of your engagement is going to come from that live, not from the IGTV. Most people don't watch a 30-minute IGTV afterwards, but they'll sit and watch a 30-minute live. I don't understand why. I can't tell you. That's just how people are. And I've done the research and I've studied it, right? If you were talking about something I found interesting live, I will sit there and watch your whole live. But as I'm scrolling, I think it's just like a mindset shift or something. Like when people are scrolling, they're looking for those quick bites of content. So yeah, you save your stuff to IGTV, but you don't. But the majority of your engagement is going to come from your lives. So make sure you're doing engaging lives, taking into consideration that you are going to save it to IGTV and you are going to share a a preview of it to your feed. Do not sit and wait for people to come in. Do not be pinging people in. Like once it says you're live, you need to be on the camera. If you go and look at my Instagram lives, you'll see that every single time I start a live, I jump right in. What's going on, everybody? It's your girl, the Detail Diva. This is what I'm talking about today. I'm super excited about this conversation. Now let me ping some people in once my 60 seconds is up. Because all I have is 60 seconds to get the attention of that person who's just scrolling. And if I can't get their attention in 60 seconds, they're going to go on to the next video. So you keep that in mind when you start your live. And then you make sure that your live is engaging. You make sure that the points that you're bringing up, the content that you're saying, is repurposable, right? Because you also have the ability to download your live, right? So make sure that the content that you're using is repurposable and make sure that it's evergreen. A lot of people like to go live and they end up pitching their offers that are limited time offers. The majority of people are not going to see that live in enough time to take advantage of that offer unless you're doing that live like a week in advance. If you're like, today's the last day, I'm not saying you can't do it. I do it sometimes too. Today's the last day of my launch, yada, yada, whatever. But that is all for the people who are actually watching it while I'm live. A lot of times I won't save that to IGTV because the information is going to be irrelevant by the time people see it on IGTV. Does that make sense? I know I'm just dumping a lot on you. but the other thing is you can post videos that are 60 seconds or less to your feed, right? So do carousels, which are make multiple pages, and include video in your carousels. Do a 60-second or less video. That 60-second or less video can be a clip from your live that you've downloaded and clipped out. It can be a clip from a Clubhouse room where you said something that is relevant to the content that you're talking about. It can be a lot of different types of things. But throw a video at the end of your carousel that's 60 seconds or less, right? You can even throw multiple 60-second or less videos in the form of a carousel. That's how you trick the algorithm to letting you do more than 60 seconds worth of video for a newsfeed post. Okay, that's literally everything I have for videos. That's everything I tell my clients, and I gave it away all for free today. Did that answer your question, Nicole, or did it confuse you?
No, that definitely answered my question because, like I said, I'm really trying to get into video content. So I've been, scouting around looking to get ideas and inspiration for the types of videos that I can create specifically for, like, the area that I'm in. So I hope, like, it's an easy journey, like, because I haven't been, like, the person who batch creates content and stuff like that because, I do still work a full-time job, but I know it's something that I should do, obviously, still working a full-time job and still running my business. So this was very helpful. Hopefully, I have success doing video. It seems like everybody else does. I just, use all the tips that you just gave me. I made sure to was typing in my notes while I was driving when I probably shouldn't have been doing that, but I really appreciate it, Tiff. I really
No, no typing and driving. The replays are on, girl.
see. I didn't realize because see, I exited out the app while I was typing, and then of course try to keep a signal and stuff like that.
No, look, okay, be safe. The replays are on. And then remember to be strategic and be intentional about your content. You should absolutely be batch creating content, especially if you work a full time job. People don't believe me. It takes less time to batch create content than it does to create content on a regular basis individually. Because you spend 30 to 45 minutes creating one piece of content Or you spend 3 hours and you create 6 pieces of content. You save time and you curate your content better. Anyway, definitely should be back recording. Um, if you need help, make sure that you reach out to me. I offer support to my clients in the form of a strategic alignment planning session. It is a 90-minute session where we will curate 45 to 60, 30 to 45 days worth of content. We will get on a 90-minute call. We will talk about what your goals are, and we will create content that helps you serve your goals, the topic and the CTA that will help you create the idea of the content. We work on that for 90 minutes. We talk, just you and me, and we get all of that together. And then I provide you with the video, and then I create a strategic blueprint for you, and I map out your calendar for you. And I say, okay, these are the pieces that you're creating. This is the day, you know what I'm saying, that you can get this recorded. Here are all of the ideas. Idea number one was a reel about how to 3 tips for creating the right graphics. Use this sound. Point here, point here, point here. Blah blah blah. Like, it's very in depth. And it's perfect for someone who is ready to invest in their business and also knows that it it's the strategy is the hard part, right? When the strategy is the hard part, that's when you want to talk to me, and make it super easy to follow. So if you need support, reach out, okay? Because I have that strategic alignment planning session, and I will help you plan 30 to 45 days worth of content. And I will help you actually curate that content so that you can take your people on a journey, right? And I will make doing videos so much easier for you because you'll actually already know exactly what you're doing, what you're going live about. Here's the outline for the live. When I tell you it is in depth, honey, they don't call me the Detail Diva for nothing, okay? I know Nicole is driving and I always want her to be safe. But if you need support, Nicole, reach out. Tasha, I know your notepad is on fire. I said a lot about video. Do you have any?
Probably the only question that I have, and to be honest, I don't want to sit here and take too much stuff because I already have a really, really good starting point with everything that you've given this morning. But my only question would be, and it may not really be an answer, but it just from listening to what you said, because I did hear you say that going live was more effective than just doing the IGTV and people would plug in more to the live. But I guess my question relating to that was, if you're somebody who's new and you don't necessarily have a following and you don't necessarily have people to kind of invite in when you go live, for me, my question would be, is that still as effective for somebody who's going new? Because if nobody's showing up when I go live, they're still not going to technically find me until, they come across my IGTV or, the feed post or whatever it is that I have based on, the hashtags or the keywords and things that I have. So that was my only question, was just how
I
effective
thought
it
we
is
talked
to actually.
about this in the DMs. Was I talking to somebody else?
Yeah, well, yeah, because you and I, we weren't
I didn't
talking specifically about the
I
live
didn't
versus
talk to
the.
you. I didn't talk to you about having guests on your live.
Say that one more time.
I didn't talk to you about having guests on your live.
I don't remember. Did you? I don't think
I
so.
thought I was talking. I don't know. I thought I was talking to you. Maybe I was wrong. So for if you have no following at all, right, and you're wanting to do video and get more out there in video, then my suggestion is do features, right? So find a way for now. I always suggest that everything is relevant to your brand. So if your brand is about teaching financial literacy, then either have people the people that you bring on, the questions are going to come back to financial literacy. Now, that can be, um, but you also want to be really strategic because you want to pick people who their audience is your target audience, right?
So if your target audience, like we said earlier, was uh single mom women of color, right? Then you want coaches that work with busy single moms. They're not going to fit into your client avatar perfectly, right? Every time. But if that's their audience and that's who they've attracted, like that's somebody you want to have on in your live. And then you have conversations with them. It helps you grow their following. It helps them get exposure. Because once you save it to your IGTV, it goes out to a new audience that they may not have been exposed to, depending upon how it performs. So they also get exposure to a new audience. I'm not saying nobody ever watches IGTVs. I'm saying for the most part, people don't watch very long IGTVs. Even me, I skip over IGTVs unless it's wilding out. Um, and don't laugh at me. I know you laughed at me, Tasha. That's not funny. I like wilding out.
Listen here.
Okay, I like wilding. I could hear you laughing. Like I knew you were muted, and I could still hear you laughing.
Listen,
Mm.
it's okay. It's okay. We were laughing together, right?
Look, we all have our guilty pleasures. Mine is wilding out. All right.
Well,
Um,
listen. I was only laughing because my son and we watch it together, so I
I love it.
understood.
I understood the assignment. um. So yeah, so I thought that we'd had this conversation. I didn't know. Maybe I was talking to someone else. But yeah, so I highly suggest that you start out your lives with features. For January, the I have a theme for my months every month. The theme for my January content is New Year, New Business, right? So I'm doing like my Clubhouse rooms reflect that mindset shifts for 2022 and what's your business origin story. Like if you look at the list of rooms that I have prepared, well, my lives are going to correlate with the rooms because I usually do this thing called an after party. So for those people that are listed on the room, we're going to go and we're going to do an IG after party after the room. Well, guess what? I've now done social audio and now I've done 30 minutes of video, and these people are coming into my life. So they're bringing their audience. They're also getting exposure from my audience. It's a really great time. If you've never seen any of my Clubhouse after parties under my IGTVs, hit Clubhouse after party. They are always a blast. But I'm really leaning into my after party strategy. I am making sure and being intentional and letting people know, hey, listen, there's a 30-minute after party on Instagram live right after the Clubhouse room. Can you join us for that as well? Where I actually bring those experts on the screen with me, and people can now see them live. Whether we usually do have 1 to 5 people who were in the Clubhouse room end up coming over to the IG after party. But really, it's for those people who don't have Clubhouse. Well, they're still getting an overlap of the information. My audience is still relatively small. I only have 1,100 followers. But when I do these rooms and then I bring these people on for the after party, the end result, right, is that I get to when you post that to IGTV and you at those people because they were in it, it also shows up in their feed, and it shows up and they can share it and they can send it out, and then it grows and it grows and it grows. Does that make sense?
Yes. So as you were saying that and with tagging the people, I was like, oh my goodness. So you talked earlier about repurposing your content,
Yep.
and that stood out to me, but also the fact that you are also borrowing these other people's audiences as well. You talked about yours had 1,100, but if you have 5 people and each of you have 5,000 people, you've now taken this one bit of time, and instead of only talking to your audience, you're now talking to 20 plus, so you have the ability to now get in front of all those eyes.
You just put it together. And that's sexy. I love it. I'm excited. I like the way you did that. I like the
Listen,
way you move.
Listen, that is the way that my mind works. It's like it's a puzzle, and it's difficult to explain. But literally, as you were talking, I was like, oh wow, so this is what she's doing, and she's doing this, and it's time efficient, and I love it.
Hmm. And I do it all the time. And a lot of people say, a lot of my, I'll say this, a lot of my clients, a lot of people who pay me, one of the reasons that they pay me is because they say that they have those aha moments while I'm teaching. It's like, okay, that makes sense. That's why I have to do that. People tell me I have to go live all the time, but people never explain why I need to go live. People say, oh, you should do features in your live, but never explain why I need to do features in my live. And so that's why I like to try to really break it down, and I like to try to really explain the why, right? So does that make sense, Tasha?
Yes, ma'am, it does, and I appreciate it because I learn in that way, and I also teach when it comes to financial literacy the same way because we've all heard you need to manage your money, you need to budget, and all the things. But how do I do that, and why am I doing it? Like for me, I need to understand the entire process because otherwise we just really become just like robots, just doing just for the sake of doing. So I listen. I appreciate you this morning for dropping all these gems, and I know I was in the room, but I'm going back to listen to the replay. I am
Oh no,
going back
yeah,
to
because
listen to the
I
replay.
did a whole ramble about outbound engagement before you came in, so definitely do go listen to the replay. I am gonna wrap up the room. But I am glad you came. This is the weekly IG Strategy Power Hour room. We do this room every week from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. We went over today about 5 minutes, but I am okay with that because I was helping some of my favorite people out. Shout out to Tasha Cooper and Nicole Clark for coming to the stage and asking their questions. I want you to feel free to join us on Tuesday mornings. If you have questions about your IG strategy, and you're trying to really, really hone in on it, this is the place to be. Um, and I am the person to help you do that. So make sure that you come back and see me. I'm here every week. You can bring a new question every week. If nobody's in here, I usually start rambling about one of the strategies or something that's new. I was gonna talk about the trend report, um, but I think that I'm gonna do an actual room on that because I don't think people realize that the 2022 trend report may not be as helpful to your business as you think it is. So I think I'm going to do a whole room about that. What do y'all think? Tasha, Nicole, do you guys know about the Instagram trend report? Did you know that it came out? And are you looking at this report as a way to help you, you know, um, build your strategy for your business?
I heard someone mention it in another room. Kind of briefly, like I was driving, so I was kind of in and out of listening. So I heard a few things on it, but to me, it just seemed like a lot of it is just more geared towards what things that are just coming back versus like things that people are gonna be like doing. I guess just to enhance their feeds and all that other stuff. I feel like that's kind of what I kind of got from it, but it could be more. But I was still driving. So I was
Understood. Here's the thing that I have that people don't talk about. Actually, go ahead and you answer, Tasha, before I say that.
No, I was just gonna say quickly, because I heard Nicole say that she had actually heard about it. To be honest with you, I didn't even know anything like this existed. So just to kind of give
Okay.
you, for you to do a room like this, listen, I'm just asking to cover the entire spectrum because you'll have people like myself who have never even heard of this and didn't know that existed. So I just want
No, and I totally understand that. There are a lot of people who did not know it existed. But the problem with the trend report, this is the thing. This is why I don't know if I want to do a room on it. The problem with the trend report is for us as business owners, with the ideal clients that we have, the trend report is not it's it's not 100% helpful for you, but it is 100% helpful for you. So the trend report is based off of Gen Z. So the survey that they conducted was 1,200 Instagram social media users ages 13 to 24. So if your target audience isn't 13 to 24, then utilizing the trend report is not going to bring you the right audience to you. However, Instagram uses the trend report to decide what they're going to push out and how they're going to adjust their algorithm. So utilizing the trend report and working it into your strategy actually can be useful, even though it's not made for your target audience. So what you have to do is utilize the strategies that, or utilize the pieces that the trend report gives you, but make sure your content is honed in for your target audience. It's kind of complex. So that's what I was thinking about doing a room on it, but I don't know yet. Because I'm bringing the smoke. A lot of people are telling you, oh, this is what you need to be doing, and it may not be what you need to be doing.
Well,
So,
listen, Diva, I'm gonna just hop in really quickly, and I'm going to suggest that, listen, I'm gonna pray about you doing this rooms, and the only reason why I say that is because I know that you're not just going to give us just surface level, because as I'm listening to you talk about this right now, what I'm hearing you say is, listen guys, my personal target audience is nowhere close to 13 to 24. But if we know that Instagram is going to focus on this particular tool within the platform or this particular type of content, then I know that you're going to bring that to us to say, hey guys, this is what this report does, but this is what I want you to focus on if your target audience is not 13 to 24, XYZ, whatever. And so now we can say, okay, well, my target audience may not be this, so I'm not necessarily creating this type of content, but to know that Instagram is going to push live or this new feature or what have you, take this new feature and you business owners implement this or be ready to implement this particular strategy or feature in your business for 20.
exactly. So, I'm thinking about it. I want to know that people actually want to be there before I do the room, because a lot of times I end up doing rooms and nobody's there, and so I give out all this great information and nobody gets to see it. But I do repurpose my content. If you look on my Instagram right now, you'll see that there are Clubhouse clips on my Instagram. So, um, yeah, with that being said, I may do a room about it, but and I know Nicole, are you still driving?
No, just got in elevators.
Oh, okay, got it, got it, got it. I was gonna ask you what you thought about what I was saying about the trend report. Um, so we'll
I
see. Maybe
if
I'll
you
do it. Oh, go ahead, Nicole. Yeah.
No, I think it'll be a great idea for a room, because, like you say, like Tasha was saying, a lot of people just give a lot of surface to that, so they may say what the trend is, but don't really go into that and how that will affect that person's business and how they run on Instagram and as far as their audience and stuff like that, because I know I overheard you say it. Those trends are pretty much surveyed from people whose age groups are like 13 up to 24. And first of all, I'm not 24, and most of the people in my audience is not 24
Right.
or any age below.
All right. Well, maybe I'll go ahead and do it then. I'll get it scheduled for probably. I don't think it'll be this week. It'll be probably next week. But I have to look at my schedule and see. It's holidays and it's family. Kim, I'm so glad to see that you came down in the audience. If you want to come up and say hi, I'm actually getting ready to close the room out. I've been here since 7 a.m. This is a weekly room that I do, though, so I welcome you to come back next week and ask your questions about IG strategy. And of course, I highly suggest that you.
Hello, good morning. I don't have a question. I just wanted to say definitely do the room. I will be there. I just followed the club. I would love to hear more from you. I sometimes pop into rooms when you're speaking, and it's so good to hear from you. Definitely do the room.
Oh, you just made me feel so good. All right. Well, if people want me to do it, like I'll do it. I'm here for it. So, I'll do it. I'll try to do it this week. I can't say when I'll do it. It'll be this week or next week. I've actually already started planning out my rooms all the way until the 13th. You guys should see what we have coming up. There's some pretty good rooms coming up. So, make sure you check out the if you click on the C2C with the Detail Diva, if you click on the Monopoly House, you can scroll over and you can see the rooms that we're doing. Um, and Tasha, are you modding on Thursday?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Are you modding on Thursday? Are you modding the weekly Power Hour room on Thursday?
Um, I wasn't asked to mod on Thursday.
You're always asked to mod on Thursday.
Oh,
That's
well,
why you have a choice.
listen, I didn't know I was invited. Okay. So listen, I'll connect with you in the back channel.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me know. You're welcome. On Thursdays, you're always welcome. You did find the first Thursday. But yeah, so that's when I'll be back. I'll be back on Thursday for our weekly networking power hour room. Y'all make sure to come check us out. I am just winding the room down, and a few more people have come in, and I've been excited to have them come in. Kim, thanks for your advice about doing the room. I definitely think that, 3 of 3 people are telling me to do it, so I guess I'm gonna do it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll do it. I'm excited now. Um, And thank you for coming to the stage. You should check out the replay. We talked all about outbound engagement on Instagram. And the one question I don't think that I answered is why? Why do we need to do outbound engagement? And the reason is because there are so many people out there who don't know who you are yet. And they're not going to come across you all the time. You have to go find some of them. They're not always going to come to you. So outbound engagement helps you grow your Instagram, but it helps you be intentional about how you grow it because you grow it with your target audience because you go out there and you find them and you engage with them. And then in turn, they engage back with you. It's part of the manual legwork that we have to do when we want to execute our organic marketing in a way that is intentional and useful, right? And I'm not saying you have to be the person to do it because, of course, you can delegate it out as long as you've documented your strategies and you can pass on how you want it done to your VA. All right. So I hope that that was beneficial. That's the only thing I think I didn't
Really
answer about
quickly,
outbound engagement. Go
sorry
for
to
it.
interrupt you really quickly. In your rooms, will you talk about where your ideal client is, where your ideal customer lives? Will you talk about that?
I can. You mean on IG?
Yeah, when you put together your rooms, because a lot of these rooms you go in and they're like, find your ideal customer, but giving more information as to where do you suggest we find our ideal customers on IG? Is it in your hashtags? Is it going through your followers? How would you suggest finding your ideal customers? Is it your insights? Is it your
All of the
metrics?
above, all of the above and more. I can answer this question for you, Kim, and I can do it relatively quickly. So here you go. And I'm telling you, I don't listen, y'all. I don't open my mouth unless I know what I'm talking about. If I'm telling you you can do this, it's because I've done it. Okay. And if you don't have the capacity or the bandwidth to do it, then you need to hire someone like me to do it, who focuses on strategy, not a VA who doesn't understand strategy. You need a consultant or a coach who will help you do it or who will do it for you or will talk you through how to do it. Okay. I don't open my mouth unless I know what I'm talking about. So To answer your question, Kim, I actually do both of those, and then I have a third one that I do. One, once a month. No, that's not true. Once a week, I go through my followers list and I actually look at who is following me. I follow back the people that are in my ideal or target audience, which are the coaches and consultants. A lot of times people will get offended because I don't follow them back. I only follow my target audience. The reason that I only follow my target audience is because it curates my feed. When I pull up my Instagram, 85% of the content that I see is coaches and consultants because they are my ideal audience. So when I engage with their content, they engage with my content back, and I've curated my feed by doing that because I only follow back my target audience or people that I am open to working with. That is how I curate my content. So, twice a week, I go through my follower list and I look at the people who are following me that are in my ideal audience. I engage with their content and I send them a DM. Because if you have followed me without me following you, that means that you found my content in a hashtag. That means my other strategies are working and I need to start the conversation with you. So, yes, absolutely, in your followers, those are the people who you can shoot straight to the DMs with and say, hey, thanks for following me. I appreciate you. I see you've been following me for a while. What made you follow me and how can I support you? Start that conversation. Number two, your hashtags. Y'all, there is a strategy to hashtags, and I used to preach it all the time for free, and nobody listened to me, so I turned it into a course. Turned it into a course. But when you are focused on your hashtags, you should really be taking into consideration the size of the hashtag versus the size of your account, if your target audience is hanging out there, and if the content that is posted in that hashtag is on brand and relevant to yours. If you're not sure what I mean when I say that, go through my Instagram post, look for the blue and white 30 hashtags in 30 days post. I broke down, utilizing this strategy, what was in these hashtags. Um, Now, when it comes to hashtags, the only way you're going to know if your audience is hanging out there is if you're analyzing the hashtags. You have to look at who's commenting. Okay, so this says, this person is commenting. That sounds like something a coach would say. I work with coaches and consultants, in case y'all didn't know. That sounds like something a coach would say. Let me click on her profile. Yep, she's a coach, public speaker, consultant. You know what I'm saying? You actually have to do the analyzing and you have to do the work. And if you can't do the work when it comes to the hashtag strategy because you don't have the bandwidth and you don't have the time, that is okay. But hire it out to someone who is intentional about it and who applies a strategy to it, like me or someone like me. Um, so hashtags, yes. Followers, yes. And then don't neglect the people that are actually taking the time to comment on your content. Those commenters, those commenters, unless they're friends and family and you know they're friends and family, but if people are commenting and saying stuff that's relevant, they're answering your call to action. Like those are the people you want to be building that relationship with, getting them out of the DMs and into your funnel. Does that make sense, Kim?
Absolutely makes sense. And I make it my business. All of the people that comment, I have conversations with them in the back channel as well. So, yes, thank you so much. Very.
Absolutely. I have a tendency to be very detailed. Um, did I answer the question that you asked?
You surely did. Absolutely.
Okay. Probably in more detail than I should.
No, great. I was taking notes. It's so good to have this information.
Yeah. So one thing that I've learned is like a lot of people don't give you the why, and I'm like, just give it to them. Like whether they're paying for it or you're giving it to them for free, give them the why because once you give them the why, it makes more sense. Why do I have?
That's the reason I said that you should definitely do the room because a lot of these, and I visit a lot of these rooms with Instagram gurus, that's air quotes that I'm using. And a lot of they give you a lot of surface information that you can find on the internet yourself. Because if you're doing your due diligence, you already have that information. But it's great because you do go into details and you give a lot of real information and a lot of value, and I really appreciate it.
Okay, awesome. That's all I want, Leah. I want to be valuable. And then I want to be valuable in a way that converts as well, which what I've learned is just telling people the truth and being honest about it, like it converts on its own. I can teach you my hashtag strategy for $97, or I can do the research for you for $327. Or I can say, hey, this is why you need to do it, and these are your options, you know? So either way, when it all comes together at the end of the day, you've got to understand that there's a strategy to everything in your business. There's a strategy to my hashtags. There's a strategy to the content that I post, why I post it and how I post it. In January, my whole theme is New Year, New Business. And I'm talking about business origin stories and the mindset shifts that we have to make and what we should be taking into consideration as the year starts off. And let's start planning things together, right? You have a launch coming up in April. Let's go ahead and get it planned out in February so that you're not overly stressed out about anything that you need to do, so that you have a detailed timeline and so that things get done on time. You know what I mean? Um, 2021 was definitely a year of growth for me, but 2022 needs to be something else, right? Um, 2022 really needs to be the year that I take off, and that's what my focus is how can I put out content that will help me take off. So the replay should be, I think there's like 2 or 3 minutes of silence in the beginning of the replay. But after that, there's a lot of useful information about outbound engagement. If you just popped into the room, definitely make sure you check out the replay. A lot of information about outbound engagement. I'm going to be shutting this room down because I have gone over by 30 minutes because I talk too much. Kim or Tasha, do you guys have any other questions before I close down the room?
No.
I'm
Absolutely, y'all. I will be back next Tuesday answering any questions that you have about IG, but always going to be giving you a strategical answer because strategy is at the heart of everything you do in your business. This room is going to now be shutting down, but before I shut it down, remember, boss, you got this, and I've got you. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Tuesday and your holidays. Hopefully, I'll see you on Thursday at our weekly networking power hour room. This is the Detail Diva, and I'm out.